Being able to go to your supervisor and saying, this is what my home life is, how can I make it work better with my work life, or vice versa, is always a good conversation to have. And when your employer is open to that, it makes you feel like you have a voice in the agency that you work for and that you're actually important.
Community Concepts is a community action agency. Our primary focus is to help individuals and families attain their goals. We really have a wide variety of programs that we offer to help individuals in our communities. So our policies for breastfeeding mothers really revolves around individuality. And so we strive to have an open door policy so that staff can really come to us and talk with their managers, with HR, about what their needs are.
It was really driven by what I needed, but also what the clients needed, the families needed, and the agency needed, and we were able to have those discussions and really meet in the middle. At the time, I was a home visitor, so a lot of my role was on the road, traveling in between home visits. I knew what time I had to pump and had a pumping schedule, so I would make sure I would have time in between visits to pump, either at my office or in my car or stopping by my house to be able to pump. The agency also allowed, if I had a home visit near where my kids were attending, I was able to even stop in and just breastfeed them during a break between visits.
Some of the factors that go into supporting breastfeeding mothers here at Community Concepts include, of course, state compliance and any regulatory compliances in terms of employment law, but also really thinking about the policy of what does our culture look like here at Community Concepts and how do we value individuality and diversity and inclusion. Some of the other factors that go into that are around our regulations with many of our grants, really ensuring that we have the coverage that's needed in order to release that mom to go and do what it is that she needs to do. And so some of those factors is really relying a lot on managers to understand what the needs are of our programs.
Hopefully employers can find a way to fill in those gaps that are left by just asking others to help and creating that workplace where other employees want to help because they see the bigger picture. I think employees like to understand why. Why am I doing this? Why am I helping cover this shift? Because she is, expressing milk, and I would want to be treated the same way if I had just had a baby. So I'm going to do this with a good attitude. And then employers keeping track of the attitudes and of the responses.
My work was very understanding. So I worked here before for like a couple of years, and then I left and I came back during my first trimester and they knew I was pregnant. So when I came back, I talked to the other lead teacher what to do when I need to step out and there's not a lot of staff in the room. And she's like, well, you can talk to the FSA and just let her know your schedule and she can come step in when you need to pump. So it was nice to be able to talk to another coworker on what I can do just to help me figure it out.
In policy review and policy creation, there are many different avenues that this policy needs to travel through and get approval before it is released for staff. The primary way is our leadership team comes together and we review policies and we talk about what implications does this have, what challenges might it bring up, how are staff going to be supported to access these policies, because we want to make them accessible. We don't want policies that are just in existence.
A policy helps ensure a floor so that everybody has access to the same set of rights. Until we have times where there is sort of universal access, like the Pump Act or like other bills that create accessibility, then I like to see employers who are already doing that work talking about it, because frankly, they're going to be more attractive employers. If you want to attract a good workforce and retain them, then you do the right thing on family flexibility. I hope that enough employers then start to recognize these benefits, start to look at their peers, start to realize that the only way they get competitive is to join their peers, and then that creates a tide of public opinion that supports policy change.